Hello, so today we're going to find out how to turn a noodle into a blowtorch. What you'll need is a container. I'm using a flask and a glass pipe. You can also use a straw. And some manganese dioxide, yeast also works, aluminum foil, hydrogen peroxide, 3% or higher, lighter, and of course the noodles. So you want the clear tube, like the tube kind. So the first step is take a piece of foil about 2 inches wide and several inches long. So a rectangle like this. It doesn't have to be exact. And then take your straw or pipe, then put the noodle on top of it, and then wrap the whole thing in foil. Okay, now we're ready. Take some manganese dioxide or yeast, whichever one you're using. Get a good amount and put it in your container, like that. Now, pour in some hydrogen peroxide. It'll immediately start foaming up a lot. Now you can light the noodle as the oxygen gas passes up through here and into the noodle. Here it goes. You can hear it whooshing. It looks really kind of like almost like a rocket flame. It's really awesome. And it'll keep burning for as long as it runs. It keeps getting a steady supply of oxygen. I don't know if you can hear it in the video, but it's making like a whoosh. Okay, it wet out. That was a pretty good result. Okay, that kind of stinks. Okay, so now we're going to try this again, but with different equipment. So I'm going to use a drip funnel to get the hydrogen peroxide inside the flask, and it's going to be all sealed up, so it's going to be probably a better result. Take the foil and wrap the noodle just as before. Make sure it's clear. So the drip funnel works because there's a little glass bead in the orange tube, and when you squeeze that, it lets the hydrogen peroxide flow around it and into the flask, where it reacts with the manganese dioxide to produce oxygen and water. Like before, the oxygen passes up through the glass pipe that's connected to the noodle and makes the noodle burn faster, because when something burns, it combines with oxygen. Usually there's only about 20% oxygen in the air, but if there's 100%, it'll burn a lot better, and that's why it works so good here. There we go. Blowtorch flame. Oh, it looks like it went out. Better light it again. Whoa, the outside caught fire too this time because of all the oxygen. That's a bit crazy. Smoking all over the place too. Pretty cool. So you might be wondering how the noodle burns by itself without the oxygen. So now we're going to do a control experiment to find that out. So the flask is empty and we're just going to light the noodle. So here we can see the chemical formula for hydrogen peroxide. In it there's an H and a little 2. This means there is 2 hydrogen atoms in a molecule of hydrogen peroxide. We can tell this because hydrogen symbol is H. Also, there is an O and a little 2. This means there's also 2 atoms of oxygen in a molecule of hydrogen peroxide. We can tell this because oxygen symbol is O. Now, as we've seen, hydrogen peroxide can decay into water and oxygen. Water's molecule has 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, and also generated it's a free oxygen atom. But free oxygen atoms are extremely reactive and will react with themselves to form an O2 molecule, which is much more stable. This is what we breathe in the air. But that's not the full story because we're using a catalyst to make all these things happen. Here the catalyst in this formula is manganese dioxide, but like I said earlier, yeast can also be used.